Hi also, today to get started we did comma review rules 1 to 5 and then a comma rules practice, and then we revisited the public statement by 8 Alabama clergymen. We did a Jamboard reflection and showed a clip, and then finally finished up with the 4 square reflections. So a lot of transitions. Your learning targets were to demonstrate an understanding of comma usage rules 1 to 5 by choosing grammatically correct sentences in the series and making corrections to grammatically incorrect sentences. And finally, to analyze the public statement by 8 Alabama clergymen by putting the meaning of the statement in your own words and making personal or wordly connections to the text. So to start, I just want to review the comma rules with you. We went over these the past 2 weeks, so I'm just going to do a really brief overview with some new sentences. So the first rule was to use commas to separate 3 or more words, phrases, or clauses in a series. So when you have a list, you put commas in between the items in the list. So the example is, one example of this is when she states, we will rebuild, comma, reconcile, comma, and recover. And you'll notice that I used actual sentences from your papers from the poetry written assessment. Most of you are good with rule 1, so I haven't felt many problems with that. Rule 2 is to use commas to separate independent clauses when they are joined by a coordinating conjunction. So essentially, when you see a coordinating conjunction, and, but, for, nor, or, so, yet, you look at this conjunction and you ask yourself, is what comes before it a complete sentence? America is a diverse country. Yes, it is. And then you say, is what comes after it also a complete sentence? We must learn to accept and care for each other regardless of how different we are. Yes. So if you answer yes to both of those, you have 2 complete sentences on either side, then yes, you add the comma. The second down here is a non-example. So again, I see an and, so I look at it and I say, is there a complete sentence before it? Amanda Gorman emphasizes that unity is created through bravery. Yes. And then I look at what's after. Is necessary to overcome struggles. I notice no, that's not a complete sentence, so I don't put a comma. Rule 3 is to use commas after introductory clauses, phrases, or words that come before the main clause. So remember, my main clause always starts with my subject and my verb. So who the sentence is about and what that person or thing is doing. So in this case, my subject is Amanda Gorman, so it says Gorman. My verb is conveys. That's what she's doing. She's conveying. So if you can't recognize that this is a dependent clause with the use of many literary devices, then at least look for that subject and verb and know that you put a comma before that. And then for a lot of them, you'll just get the feel. When you have an introductory phrase later in the poem, I notice that's a transitional introductory phrase, I add a comma again before my main subject and my main verb, my main clause. Rule 4 is to use a pair of commas in the middle of the sentence to set off clauses, phrases, or words that are not essential to the meaning of the sentence. So if you have a piece of information that's not essential, and you could delete it, then you put commas to frame that portion of the sentence. So in her poem, The Hill We Climb, she discusses how America, as a nation, can strive to create a better future. That phrase, as a nation, is not necessarily pertinent or essential to the sentence, so you frame it in commas. Now the second is a non-example. In The Hill We Climb by Amanda Gorman, the speaker talks about difficulties faced in America and where we can find hope during these times. I saw some people were, after the poem title, putting a comma before the author's name. However, if this is your first sentence, that is essential information to the sentence. You need to know who the poem was written by. So I would leave the comma out. So this person used this as their first sentence, so leave the comma out. However, if you reference The Hill We Climb in a later sentence and said it by Amanda Gorman, then you might put the comma there because you've already introduced her as the author, so I don't think you need to say it again. So again, it's kind of context and style matters as well. Finally, Rule 5, use commas to separate 2 or more coordinate adjectives that describe the same noun. So if I said the poem was a strong, beautiful response to the events going on in America today, I know those are coordinate adjectives because I could reverse them and still have the same meaning. I could say the poem was a beautiful, comma, strong response. And I could put the word and in between them. So if I say the poem was a strong and beautiful response to the events going on in America today, then I know I need a comma. So in this case, yes, you do. They're both 2 adjectives describing the type of response it was. So the first thing you're going to do, and you'll have to go to the slides if you were absent, is open the comma rules practice. For the first part, you have to copy-paste your answer into the answer spot and then add the commas where they belong. You'll notice what in parentheses are what rules are associated with this sentence. So to have commas correctly in the sentence, you need to reference Rules 2 and Rule 5 on the slides, if you need them. If you don't, fine. This is worth 2 points because there's 2 separate rules. So you have to decide twice, do I need a comma or not? The rest are 1 point. The second part of this is just like our Kahoot practice last class, which you choose the best sentence, or excuse me, the sentence that is written correctly with commas. So you'll see that when you get there. All right, well, when you finish that, what we did was we moved on to the Jamboard. Last class you did the swap with the public statement by 8 Alabama clergymen. That reading is now under the Week 30 materials if you need that. And last class you added as a group the word that stood out to you the most, the phrase that stood out to you the most, and the sentence that stood out to you the most. This time you're going to review the word, sentence, and phrases and answer one of the questions in this middle box here. You see that some people have already done that. And then you'll go back to the slides. You'll watch the link in slide 7. And then the final thing you'll do on the Jamboard is answer what questions do you still want answered after looking at the public statement by the clergyman, the video you just watched, and doing research last class on what was going on in Birmingham at the time. Final piece or final assignment for today is on slide 8. It's also in the modules. So if you go to the modules, week 30, you'll open up the document that says 4-square response, public statement by 8 clergymen. And you're going to answer number 1. And that'll be right on Canvas. I just have it copied here, but you'll answer it right in Canvas. Everyone answers number 1 in 3 sentences. And then you'll answer one of the other questions of your choice. Complete number 1, then answer one other prompt. And I have to change these because I messed them up in the other directions too. I apologize for that. But number 1 will be in 3 sentences, and the other one will be in 2 sentences. So a total of 5 sentences. I had copied this over from last year, so it was a little, changed the directions, so things got a little messy, and I didn't delete things correctly. But that should be fixed also in the assignment. All right, please let me know if you have any questions. Always available Wednesday, anytime, but office hours are 1 to 2.